Hello everyone, this is Prachi Sharma working as an intern at LEXIS and Company, and the topic I'm going to discuss today with you all are the emergency provisions which is contained under Article 352 to 360. So basically in this video I'm going to cover the three types of emergencies and their effects. But first let's just know what is an emergency. So an emergency are the circumstances arising suddenly that calls for an immediate action by the public authorities under the powers granted to them. In India, the emergency provisions are intended to give federal government the power of a unitary one when the situation so demands. But it must be noted that these emergency provisions must be resorted by the government as the last step because it drastically affects the federal system of the India. So, the president can make proclamation of three types of emergencies. The first one is national emergency, which is contained under Article 352. Second one is president rule in state, which is contained under Article 356. And the last one is financial emergency, which is contained under Article 360. So, now let's just first discuss what is national emergency. National emergency can be imposed when the security of India or any part of it is threatened by war or external aggression or armed rebellion, or if President is satisfied that there is an imminent danger to it. But the proclamation can be made by the President only when the Union Ministers of Cabinet rank, headed by the Prime Minister, recommend to him in writing that such a proclamation should be made. It must be noted, guys, that it is only in Article 352 that the word Cabinet Minister is used to denote the Council of Ministers. Every such proclamation must be laid before both the houses of the Parliament and approved by them within 1 month from the date of the issue. Otherwise, the proclamation ceases to be operative. It will terminate at the end of 6 months from the date of the resolution unless Parliament passes a fresh resolution for its continuation. The duration of an emergency can be extended by 6 months at a time. Every such resolution must be passed by a special majority in each of the houses. So guys, let's just discuss about what are the effects of the national emergency. So the first effect is that the center shall acquire the power to give directions to state on any matter. Second effect is, though the state legislature will not be suspended during proclamation of emergency, but Parliament would be able to make laws on any matter in the state list. The third effect is, the President can modify the provisions relating to allocation of financial resources between the Union and the states. Our fourth effect is, the fundamental rights available to citizens under Article 19 of the Constitution are automatically suspended during emergencies on the ground of war or external aggression. The President can also suspend other rights by order except the rights available under Article 20 and Article 21 of the Constitution. By 44th Amendment Act, the earlier ground internal disturbance in Article 352 was substituted by armed rebellion. So this was all about national emergency. Now let's move further to the second type of emergency, that is president rule in state, which is contained under Article 356. Article 356 authorizes the president to make a proclamation of emergency if he is satisfied that the government of a state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, either on the report of the governor or otherwise. Such a proclamation may also be made in the case of a state failing to comply with, to give effect to, any directions given by the Union in the exercise of its executive power as envisaged in Article 365. The proclamation has to be placed before each house of the Parliament for its approval, and it ceases to be operative on the expiration of 2 months unless each house approves it by the resolutions. In the first instance, the proclamation remains in operation for 6 months and can be extended by Parliament for a further 6 months. The continuation for this emergency beyond 1 year is possible only if proclamation of emergency under Article 352 is in operation. This is the first condition, and the second condition is the election commissioner certifies that there are difficulties in holding elections to the state legislative assembly concerned. Even after compliance with these conditions, the maximum duration of such an emergency is 3 years, guys. So this is the president rule in state. Now let's just discuss about the effects of it. So the first effect is, the president can assume to himself or any of the powers of the governor of the state. He can promulgate ordinances for the administration of the state when parliament is not in session. Our second effect is the president may declare that the powers of state legislature shall be exercisable by or under the authority of the parliament. This type of emergency has been declared nearly 100 times and in practically in all the states. Its abuse has been an issue of debate. Its misuse has undermined the expectation of the leading architect of the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, to the effect that Article 356 would remain a dead letter. In the leading judgment by Supreme Court in the case Asar Bomai versus Union of India, it has been held that Article 356 is amenable to judicial review and courts can strike down a proclamation if it is shown to have been issued malified or on the grounds irrelevant to the satisfactions of the parliament. President can suspend legislative assembly but cannot dissolve state legislature assembly. Sarkaria Commission in its report has made similar suggestions in order to stop the misuse of Article 356. So this is all about the president rule in state. Now let's just move further to our last emergency, which is financial emergency, and it is contained under Article 360. So, under Article 360, the President can declare emergency if he is satisfied that a situation has arisen whereby the financial stability or credit of India or any part of its territory is threatened. Such an emergency shall ordinarily remain in force for a period of 2 months, unless before the expiry of that period it is approved by both the houses of the Parliament. If approved, it operates for 6 months and can be extended by 6 months at a time. It can remain in operation for maximum period of 3 years. So now let's just discuss about the effects of financial emergency. First effect is the Union Executive can give directions to any state to observe such canons of financial propriety as may be specified in the directions. Second effect is the President can ask the states to reduce the salaries and allowances of all or any class of persons in connection with the affairs of the state. Third effect is the President can ask states to resolve all money bills passed by the state legislature for his consideration. Our fourth effect is the President can issue directions for the reduction of salaries and allowances of persons serving with the affairs of the Union, including with the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court. No proclamation of this type of emergency has been made so far. So this type of emergency, that is financial emergency, has not been invoked in our country yet. So what are the uses of this emergency power? The national emergency was for the first time proclaimed in 1962 in the wake of Chinese invasion. The emergency was also used by the government to tide over the situation arising out of the Indo-Pak War of 1965. The emergency was finally lifted in January 1968. The second national emergency was declared in December 1971 during the Bangladesh War and remained in force till March 1977. The third national emergency was declared in June 1975 on the grounds of internal disturbance and was revoked in March 1977. However, as a result of 44th Amendment of the Constitution, it is no more possible to declare national emergency on grounds of internal disturbances. Instead, it can be declared on the grounds of armed rebellion. So, this is the uses of national emergency which has been invoked in our country yet. So, at last, I would like to conclude my video by telling you that it is important to note that even when these provisions are provided for nation security and protection of people, these provisions in themselves give drastic discretionary power in the hands of the executive. This affects the federal structure of the nation. So these emergency provisions must be resorted as a last step because it affects the federal system of India, which should not be done. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys find this video really helpful for you. Thank you so much.